January 3rd, 2026. The transfer window has been open for 72 hours, and already a 65 million release clause is about to be triggered. A striker swap that nobody saw coming is in advanced negotiations, and a 100 million panic bid is being prepared for a player who says he doesn't want to move. But here's what nobody is connecting. What if these three deals aren't separate? What if they're all dominoes? What if Manchester City, triggering Antoine Semenyo's release clause, forces Chelsea to panic bid for Victor Osimhen, which triggers Napoli to finalize the Dovbyk swap, which forces Roma to, you see where this is going? This isn't just transfer news, this is panic. This is clubs realizing they're 3 points from disaster and throwing 100 million at problems they should have fixed in the summer. And Fabrizio Romano, he's been dropping bombs for 72 hours straight. Before I reveal which of these deals will get the here we go by Sunday, you need to subscribe to Cyberboot. Because what you're about to discover in the next 13 minutes isn't just rumors. It's the strategy behind January panic buying, the agents playing chess with clubs, and the one move that will trigger everything else. The January window has only been open for 3 days, and football is already on fire. Welcome back to Cyberboot, where we don't just report transfer rumors, we decode the strategy, expose the panic, and predict the domino effects that shape the January window. Today is January 3rd, 2026. The winter transfer window opened on January 1st, and in just 72 hours, we've seen Manchester City linked with a 65 million striker, Chelsea preparing a 100 million bid for a player who says he's not leaving Turkey Napoli, and Roma negotiating a striker swap, one of the rarest deal structures in football Saudi Arabia, targeting Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes with insane offers. But here's what mainstream media won't tell you. These aren't separate stories. They're connected. January transfers aren't about planning. They're about panic. When a club buys in January, it means they failed in the summer. They're in a crisis now. They're willing to pay a premium to fix it immediately. That premium, it's called the January tax. And this year, it's adding $20–30 million to every deal. So when Manchester City, the richest, most well-planned club in the world, activates a 65 million release clause in January instead of waiting for summer, what does that tell you? It tells you they're desperate. And when Chelsea prepares a 100 million bid for Victor Osimhen, despite him saying I'm staying at Galatasaray until June, what does that tell you? It tells you they're terrified they won't make top 4. This video is about the 4 biggest panic moves happening right now. The agents making millions, the clubs sweating, and the one move that Fabrizio Romano is about to confirm with his iconic "Here we go." Let's begin with the deal nobody predicted, the striker swap that breaks all the rules. The Dovbyk Lucca swap, Napoli and Roma's January chess match. Here's a stat that will blow your mind. In the last 10 years, there have been fewer than 5 major striker-for-striker swap deals in Europe's top 5 leagues. Why? Because swap deals are impossible to negotiate. Think about it. Both clubs have to agree on valuations. Both players have to agree on personal terms. Both sets of agents need to get paid. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded. And yet, Napoli and Roma are reportedly in advanced talks to swap Artem Dovbyk and Lorenzo Lucca. Artem Dovbyk, 27 years old, Roma, signed from Girona in summer 2024 for $38 million top scorer in La Liga 2023-24, 24 goals. Has struggled at Roma, 7 goals in 18 Serie A appearances. Roma want to cut their losses. Lorenzo Lucca, 24 years old, Udinese, but Napoli linked. 6'7", target man, physical beast. 8 goals in 18 Serie A games this season. Napoli have been scouting him as a backup to Victor Osimhen's eventual replacement. Wait, did you catch that? Napoli are looking for Osimhen's replacement. That's the twist. This swap isn't just about Dovbyk and Lucca, it's about Napoli preparing for Osimhen's departure. According to Fabrizio Romano, tweet from January 2nd, Napoli's sporting director has been in contact with Roma for weeks about this deal. But negotiations have been complicated because Dovbyk's wages at Roma, $3.5 million per year, are higher than Napoli want to pay. Roma value Dovbyk at $30 million. But Napoli think his struggles drop that to 20 Malamonters Lucca's agent is demanding a 2 million signing bonus to facilitate the move. Romano hasn't said, "Here we go" yet. But on January 2nd, he posted, "Napoli and Roma continue talks. Complicated, but progressing." In Fabrizio speak, that means the deal is 60% done. Why January? Both clubs are in crisis. Roma are 4th in Serie A. Napoli are 3rd, but only 1 point above 4th. They need depth if they want title. A swap deal avoids the cash flow problem. Neither club has to spend 30 million plus in January. They just trade problems and hope the new striker fits better. All right, first question. Do you think striker swap deals are genius or desperate? Drop genius or desperate in the comments, because the answer reveals whether clubs are playing 4D chess or just panicking. Antoine Semenyo, the 65 million man. Manchester City are about to buy. Let's talk about the biggest story of the week, and it's not Osimhen. It's not the Saudi moves. It's this. Manchester City are preparing to trigger Antoine Semenyo's 65 million release clause. Let me repeat that. Manchester City, the club with Erling Haaland, the club with Ryan Cherki, the club with Bernardo Silva, are about to spend 65 million on a Bournemouth winger in January. Why? Because they're panicking. Antoine Semenyo, 25 years old, Ghana international, currently at Bournemouth. This season's stats: 9 goals in 19 Premier League games, 3 assists. Excellent dribbling, physicality, and work rate. But here's the kicker. He has a 65 million release clause that can be triggered in January. And according to multiple reports from January the 2nd, Semenyo's agent was spotted in Manchester on January 1st. Manchester City have made contact with Bournemouth. Pep Guardiola has personally requested the signing. Let's look at City's season. Currently 3rd in the Premier League, 4 points behind leaders Arsenal. The problem? Goals. Haaland has 19 league goals, but after him, Phil Foden, 7 goals. Ryan Cherki, 2 goals. City's attack has become one-dimensional. Teams just triple mark Haaland and City have no plan B. Pep wants Semenyo because he can play multiple positions. Right winger, cutting inside on his left foot. Left winger, direct running, crossing. Second striker, playing off Haaland. Semenyo's physicality, 6'0", strong, allows City to play a different style, more direct, more transitional, when their possession game is being stifled. On January 2nd, Romano tweeted, "Manchester City are favourites to sign Semenyo. Release clause exists. Bournemouth expect bid this week." This is happening. But here's the real story. Why is City buying in January instead of waiting for summer? 2 reasons. Champions League panic. If City fail to win the league and crash out of the Champions League early, their season is a disaster. They need reinforcements now. The domino effect. If City buys Semenyo, it frees up Bernardo Silva to potentially leave for Saudi Arabia. More on that later. This isn't just a transfer, it's City restructuring their entire attack mid-season. Here's my question for you. Is spending $65 million on a Bournemouth winger a genius move or a panic buy? Drop genius or panic in the comments. Let's debate this. Victor Osimhen, the 100 million man who says he's not moving. Now we get to the big one, the transfer that could break the January window. Victor Osimhen, currently on loan at Galatasaray from Napoli. 26 years old, one of the most lethal strikers in the world. And Chelsea want him. Badly. Osimhen moved to Galatasaray on loan in September 2024 after a fallout with Napoli. The loan runs until June 2026. He's been dominant in Turkey. 16 goals in 18 games across all competitions. Galatasaray top of the Super League. On January 1st, Osimhen posted on Instagram, "I'm staying at Galatasaray until the end of the season. I'm happy here. Case closed, right? Wrong. Chelsea are in desperate need of a striker. Nicholas Jackson, 7 goals in 20 games. Not clinical enough. Marc Guiu, 19 years old, not ready. Chelsea are currently 5th in the Premier League. If they finish outside the top 4, they miss Champions League football. Again. And missing Champions League could cost them 60 million in revenue. Their ability to sign top players in summer. Their manager's job, if results don't improve. So Chelsea's board is preparing a 100 million bid to trigger Osimhen's exit clause from Napoli and buy him out of his Galatasaray loan. Here's where it gets spicy. Napoli don't want Osimhen back. The relationship is broken. They'd prefer to sell him to Chelsea in January for 100 million rather than have him return in summer. But there's a problem. Galatasaray don't want to lose him mid-season. They're challenging for the league title and Champions League round of 16. For this deal to happen, 3 parties must agree. Napoli want 100 million. They'll say yes immediately. Chelsea will pay 100 million if Osimhen agrees. Galatasaray want compensation for losing their star mid-season, reportedly asking for 10 million loan termination fee. And then there's Osimhen himself. Does he want to join Chelsea mid-season, or does he stay loyal to Galatasaray? Romano tweeted on January 2nd, Chelsea remain interested in Osimhen. Galatasaray want him to stay. Napoli open to sale. Complicated. In other words, this is a 3-way standoff, but here's the twist nobody's talking about. What if Chelsea's Osimhen bid is a bluff? What if they're driving up his price to force Napoli to panic sell to someone else, like Saudi Arabia? Clearing the way for Chelsea to sign a different striker, like Dovbyk from the Roma-Napoli swap. This is the chess game, and we won't know who's bluffing until January 10th. Final question before we wrap up the analysis. If you were Chelsea, would you pay 100 million for Osimhen in January, or wait for summer and get him cheaper? Drop now or summer in the comments. I'm reading every single one. The Saudi Arabia factor, Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes. Now let's talk about the wild card that could blow up everything, Saudi Arabia. In the past 3 transfer windows, Saudi clubs have spent over $1 billion on players. Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, Karim Benzema, Riyad Mahrez, and N'Golo Kante. And now they're targeting 2 more Premier League superstars, Bernardo Silva, Manchester City, Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United. Bernardo Silva, 30 years old, has been linked with a move to Al Ittihad, the same club that signed Karim Benzema. Reports from January 2nd suggest Al Ittihad are offering 80 million to Manchester City. Bernardo would earn 50 meters per year, nearly 5x his current salary. Manchester City are open to selling if they can replace him. And guess what? The Semenyo signing could be that replacement. If City buy Semenyo for 65 meters, they can justify selling Bernardo for 80 meters. Net profit, 15 meters plus massive wage savings. The Bruno Fernandes situation. Bruno Fernandes, 31 years old, Manchester United captain. Al Nassr, Cristiano Ronaldo's club, are reportedly offering 70 million transfer fee to Manchester United, 60 million per year salary to Bruno. But here's the problem. Manchester United don't want to sell their captain mid-season. Selling Bruno would signal that United have given up on top 4, destroy dressing room morale, enrage the fan base. So why is this even a rumor? Because United are broke. Financial fair play restrictions mean United need to sell to buy. If they can get 70 million for Bruno in January, they can reinvest that into a striker or midfielder and balance their books. Romano hasn't confirmed either Saudi deal yet, but on January 2nd he said, Saudi clubs are working on multiple Premier League targets. January is complicated, but summer is more likely. Translation: these deals are real, but they'll probably happen in June, not January. But here's the kicker. If one of these deals happens, it triggers everything else. If Bernardo leaves City, City buys Semenyo, City have money for another signing. If Bruno leaves United, United panic buy a midfielder, drives up prices for everyone. This is why January is called the panic window. One move creates a domino effect that forces 6 other clubs to react. So what actually happens? Let me give you my predictions. Deal 1, Antoine Semenyo to Manchester City. Prediction 80% done by January 10th. Why? Fabrizio Romano has already positioned this as City's top target. The release clause exists. Bournemouth can't refuse if City trigger it. Semenyo's agent was in Manchester. This is happening. Expect the here we go by Sunday. Deal 2. Dovbyk Lucca swap. Napoli, Roma. Prediction. 60% done by January 15th. Swap deals are complicated, but both clubs are motivated. Roma need to fix their striker situation. Napoli want depth. I think this gets done, but it takes 2 weeks of negotiations. Deal 3. Victor Osimhen to Chelsea. Prediction: 30% done in January, 90% done in summer. Chelsea will try, but Galatasaray hold the cards. Osimhen has publicly said he's staying. Unless Chelsea offer Galatasaray tenor compensation and double Osimhen's wages, he's not moving until June. But in summer, this is 90% happening. Chelsea need a striker and Osimhen wants to leave. It's just a matter of timing. Deal 4. Bernardo Silva to Saudi Arabia. Prediction: 20% done in January, 70% done in summer. City won't sell in January unless they must balance books. But in summer, if the Semenyo signing works out, Bernardo is gone. The Saudi money is too big to refuse for a 30-year-old. Deal 5. Bruno Fernandes to Saudi Arabia. Prediction: 5% done in January, 40% done in summer. United won't sell their captain mid-season. But if they finish outside top 4 and need FFP sales in summer, Bruno could be sacrificed. By January 10th, we'll have at least one "here we go" from Fabrizio. My money is on Semenyo to City. But the real chaos? That happens in the final week of January when clubs realize they're running out of time. So there you have it. The complete breakdown of the 4 biggest January panic buys happening right now. Antoine Semenyo's 65mm move to Manchester City. The Dovbyk Lucca striker swap between Napoli and Roma. Victor Osimhen's 100mm standoff with Chelsea and Galatasaray. And the Saudi wildcards targeting Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes. Before you go, I need 4 things from you. Subscribe to Cyberboot right now. The January window moves fast, and we're breaking every Fabrizio Romano update, every agent leak, every last-minute hijack. If you want to stay ahead of the chaos, this is your home. Hit that like button if you believe the Semenyo deal is happening this week. Your engagement tells YouTube that transfer analysis matters. Get into the comments and answer the 3 questions I asked. Are swap deals genius or desperate? Genius or desperate? Is City's Semenyo move genius or panic? Genius or panic? Should Chelsea pay 100 meters for Osimhen now or wait for summer? Now or summer? Drop your answers. I'm reading every comment. This is the smartest transfer community on YouTube. Share this video with one friend who's obsessed with Fabrizio Romano. Start the debate, predict the deals. And let's see who gets the most "here we go" predictions correct. We're 3 days into the January window, and already clubs are panicking. Agents are cashing in, and Fabrizio Romano is about to drop another bomb. The next "here we go" could happen in the next 24 hours, and when it does, you'll see it here first. This has been Cyberboot. Stay locked in, stay tactical, and never underestimate the chaos of January, because in the panic window, anything can happen. Subscribe now. The next "here we go" is coming.